Hello, Husky Nation. Welcome to Beyond the Bench, a weekly series where we sit down with each of our head coaches here at Bloomsburg University to get thoughts about their program, themselves, and what it means to be a Husky. This week's episode is sponsored by AppScuff. We would like to thank them and the rest of our corporate sponsors for their continued support of Husky Athletics. I'm Dave Leisering, Sports Information Director here at Bloomsburg. Today's guest on Beyond the Bench is the head coach of the Huskies men's and women's tennis programs, Rebecca Helt. Coach, thank you very much for taking a few minutes out today to join us.
Hi, thanks for having me. Hello, everybody.
Absolutely. Lovely weather. It's a beautiful setting. Got to take advantage of this, right?
Unbelievable. Doesn't happen in December very often, so.
Especially in Pennsylvania. So, so Coach, we'll start how we have with everybody else. You know, it's been kind of a whirlwind over these last several months. How have you stayed connected with your programs, and how have you kept them motivated for what we anticipate a spring season here in a couple of months?
Yeah, that's a great question. And of course, I'm sure it's been challenging just for everybody. Probably one of the biggest challenges a lot of us have ever faced in athletics in terms of keeping our athletes motivated. When it very first happened, right in the middle of our season, it was a little bit easier to stay in touch because everybody was still on campus, of course. We were still here hoping that our season would resume. But then, you know, as things kind of went on and progressed, and then summer came, everybody went home. We tried to integrate our new freshmen. It became a lot more challenging just because we have players all over the world and in all different time zones. I even have a couple people who are taking classes in the middle of the night. So it became a little bit more challenging to keep everybody together on those meetings. So it became more of a kind of a one-on-one, working through their personal issues and their individual issues through all this COVID stuff. So,
Coach, you're going to be entering your second season here. Talk a little bit about your background, both as a player and as a coach before coming here.
Well, I don't remember there ever being a time that I didn't play tennis. Probably started when I was like 4 years old. My parents played. They were very active in leagues and things, so I just started that way and played all through junior high, high school. In fact, one of my very first private coaches actually played. He was a star at Bloomsburg. Oh, wow. So I've always known about Bloomsburg, of course, through him, but played in college. I played at Lock Haven, which was a PSAC school. Played through, I think I probably learned more after college when I learned to settle down the mind a little bit and really study the game. But just have a really competitive nature. I love to compete. It's a great sport to compete in because it's just you and your mind kind of, and your skills, you know, head to head against another player. And it's just been a great learning experience to try to get better and then pass on what I've learned onto younger players like happened to me, I guess, when I was growing up.
So you had a long and successful career at nearby Bucknell University before coming here to Bloomsburg. What led to your decision to become a Husky?
Wow, that's a big question. And I don't know that I can put my finger on one thing. I just know that anybody who's known me through all the years of coaching, they know that I've always talked about Bloomsburg. It's a funny thing. It's a connection. I have the utmost respect for Coach Coyne. He was a really great mentor for me when I started coaching the men's program at Bucknell. You know, I knew of Bert Reese and what a tennis icon Bert Reese was. I've known a lot of players to come through the Bloomsburg program. And like I said, my very first private coach came from Bloomsburg. Anybody who played tennis in Pennsylvania knew Bloomsburg tennis. And so it's kind of always been in the back of my mind that, you know, when I was ready, got to the point where maybe I'd be ready to look for the next move, whatever came along, my mind was open, and I think all the stars just aligned. And it's just a great opportunity for me to learn something new. Division II is very different in the sport of tennis, especially just very, very different. Working in a state school versus a private school is very, very different. So I find it very rewarding and challenging just to learn something new after 22 years.
How would you describe your coaching philosophy, and who's had the greatest impact on your coaching style?
You know, I had, in addition to tennis, I ran track in high school. I did not do it in college, but I remember my track coach at Williamsport. She's always been in the back of my mind. I even reached out to her several times over my career to thank her for the way that she ran her teams. And the one thing that I always loved about her was she was very tough on you, but she would never give you more than she knew you could handle. And she did it in a way that just made you want to step up to her challenges. And she really held you accountable when she knew when you were slacking versus when you couldn't handle the load. So I always look back to her. And I guess what I've learned over the years is that to not think about failure or losing as a bad thing. I think that's something that took me a long time to learn. I did not necessarily practice that when I was an athlete myself, but I've learned it over time that if you stop looking at like failing as a bad thing, and if you fail or lose 10 times in a row, stop and ask yourself, okay, what are the 10 things I just learned? That has helped guide me into a much better, I think, coach in the way that I work with my athletes and get them to think more positively. And it's not a bad thing to lose. It's a bad thing to not maybe try. It's a bad thing to not put yourself out there, but it's not a bad thing to fail or lose. You learn from it. And that's kind of become my philosophy.
Definitely words to live by. That's for sure. I have daughters that play field hockey actually. And, they get disappointed when they lose and they don't win all the time, but
right.
Definitely words to live by for sure. So,
yes, sir.
So you touched upon it a little bit earlier. The sport of tennis, traditionally, you have a handful of international student athletes. Describe kind of that recruiting process and how it differs from, bringing in homegrown talent as opposed to international talent.
Yeah, well, again, it's a little bit of a difference coming from maybe Bucknell that draws more nationwide versus a Bloomsburg that's going to be a little bit more state, Pennsylvania kids. And they're very easy to go and watch and keep track of these kids and what they're doing in high school and in the middle state competitions. But then to go out internationally, it is a little bit different. And I feel fortunate that a lot of former athletes, international former athletes, have gone on to create these agencies because they themselves went through being a student athlete. They kind of know the ins and outs. They know a variety of schools, academically, athletically. They know about financial aid and they know about scholarships. So they go off and they start these agencies where they then try to go out and help these kids find the right school. And so I really work through the agencies mostly. I talk to them and say, this is what we're about. This is what I'm looking for. This is what resources we have. This is the depth of my lineup right now. This is the talent that I need. And then they go out and when they have a match, somebody who is looking for kind of a mid-size school that offers a certain major and they're at a certain level and their budget is a certain level, they kind of put it into their algorithm and spits out a couple different schools. They connect with me. We start talking. And then, of course, it's a lot of video chatting because I can't travel all over the world. But
it would be nice if you could, right?
For the videos, it makes a big difference.
Sure.
But it's just a great networking of finding the right fit. That's the most important thing.
And what are some of the selling points you've used so far to bring quality student athletes here to Bloomsburg?
Oh, man. Well, the facility, for one, it's a gorgeous facility, one of the best outdoor facilities that I've ever seen, to be honest. That's a great selling point for tennis players. Bloomsburg offers a couple of really strong majors that are attractive to international business, the business program. The size of the campus is very attractive. It's not too big, but yet it's not too small either. It's kind of like right in that mix. Those are a couple of probably the bigger selling points. And then the academic support is really, really important for international students. So I really do sell that a lot too.
So what can we expect from the men's and women's teams as we anticipate a spring season here in a couple of months?
Another great question, because, keep in mind that I had really only just met my team in July, or no, probably like August of 2019. And I really didn't have that much time with them competing wise until we got shut down. I was so impressed by what I saw in just a little bit of competition that we did get to have. And we really didn't lose a lot of players. So I expect that, they have been working. They've been staying in shape. They've been playing as much as possible. And we have added some really quality freshmen coming in. So I'm excited, but it's kind of a cautious optimism. We've learned not to try to think too far ahead yet, just kind of day by day. But we are very excited at the prospect of starting in February.
And we are too. We're anticipating getting things going again. It's been a long few months, that's for sure. So
absolutely.
So let's have a little fun for a couple of minutes as we wrap up here. So Rebecca, let's get to know you. And how about any favorite sports teams you had?
Oh, Eagles. I mean, that's a no-brainer. I love the Eagles. I love football. It's what I live for it in the fall. My son grew up playing football, so got to go with the Eagles.
Okay. And any favorite athletes?
Oh my gosh, a lot. There's a lot of athletes I admire, but growing up, I think probably some of the athletes that made the biggest impact on me, and I might be dating myself here, but Yvonne Lendl, Steffi Graf, and I said I was a track runner. I was actually a jumper. So Carl Lewis. And those are my three top right there.
Those are great. Great answers. Anybody on the Eagles that you particularly are fond of?
Well, I'm a big Ertz fan. So Zach Ertz.
Okay. Perfect. Any favorite movies?
This might surprise some people, but if I'm flicking through the channels and I see Step Brothers on, doesn't matter if it's at the beginning, middle, or end, I watch it. I love the movie. Makes me laugh every time.
Don't tell anybody else, but you have now become my favorite coach.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
That is the best movie for sure. I love that Absolutely. Stupid humor and Will Ferrell. I love, so anything he does, I'm all for it. So
yes, agree.
Awesome. My favorite coach. Yeah, I won't tell anybody. I promise. Favorite food.
Ooh, another good one. Oh my goodness. I love sushi. Sushi rolls, it's just something that I don't know. I don't really eat it very often, but I really like it. And it's kind of a treat when I get to have it. Or anything barbecue, barbecue ribs, barbecue chicken, anything, pulled pork. I love barbecue.
Still my favorite coach. Favorite music, musicians, bands that you're into?
By far, the Beatles.
Okay.
It was my dad's favorite. I grew up to it. I love their music. I listen to the words, and they really strike a chord. No pun intended, but yeah, the Beatles for sure.
Great answer again. So if you could meet anyone, past or present, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Well, John Lennon.
There you go. And then, so finally, what is the best thing about Bloomsburg University?
Again, since I just started, I think I have a lot to discover there. But the one thing I've noticed so far is just how involved the entire campus is in the decision-making process or in what's going on, right down to the students being involved, the faculty and the coaches and all the staff being involved, the access that we have to the president, the access that I have to the athletic director. It's just, the communication has just been very impressive to me, and just how involved everybody is in learning about what's going on and what's going into the decisions that are being made. So that so far, I think, is something that I find really comforting and just really impressive. But I know I have so much more to learn as soon as I get a chance to get back on campus and actually get it done. So.
Absolutely. So Coach, we really appreciate you taking a few minutes out to join us here today. Beautiful setting. Enjoy the nice weather. And happy holidays to you and your family as well.
Thank you very much, and happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you. And we are looking forward to finally getting a full season, hopefully, of tennis here in a couple of months.
Yes, me too.
Head coach Rebecca Helt of the Bloomsburg University men's and women's tennis programs. We'd like to thank Husky Nation for tuning in to Beyond the Bench. Join us again next week as we will visit with another Huskies head coach. We'd also like to thank once again AppScuff for sponsoring today's episode. For information on everything Huskies, visit our new look website at buhuskies.com. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm Dave Leisering. We'll see you next week on Beyond the Bench. Have a great day and go Huskies.